Hey everyone, you're watching DeFi Talks with DeFi Dad. Hey, thanks for joining me. I'm actually back after getting to interview DeFi Land just a few hours ago. And so I'm joined here by Alex Guy from Zerion. We're going to talk today about some new products that have been launched by Zerion. Most of you probably know Zerion as one of the leading popular dashboards where you can track all of your crypto assets and NFTs. But they've recently launched a new product which enhances their mobile application. Previously, that application was really convenient for tracking your portfolio on the go, but now it is a non-custodial wallet. So it really has pivoted the Zapper, or I'm sorry, the taboo there. It has pivoted the Zerion wallet into being a wallet that really could replace something like MetaMask. And we'll talk about some of the ways you can import your wallets, whether you use something like MetaMask into Zerion. And then lastly, we'll get to touch on Zerion DNA, which is a really interesting self-evolving NFT that basically incentivizes you to explore Web3. So Alex, thanks for joining me, man.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm doing really good. It's the end of the day here in Paris, and I'm feeling psyched to talk about our new wallet and DNA itself. So thanks for having me.
So yeah, so good to get to walk through this together. So
yeah,
I definitely got some. I need to get some more DeFi Dad sleep there. I'm flipping names there in the middle of my sentence.
It happens.
So Alex, why don't we talk first about you are head of marketing and growth at Zerion, which is definitely a role that I can empathize with at one of the the top DeFi teams in the space. I guess, how did you get into crypto in the first place? I'm also curious how you ended up at Zerion.
Sure. Yeah. No. It's a good question because I think I don't know, everybody seems to have a different circuitous winding route, that takes them into the space. And, for me, my background is very much in Web2 marketing. I've kind of worked in, I mean, mainly in startups and in different stages, various stages of startups. So I've gone from running out of money and going out of business to a couple of exits and everything in between. So I kind of had this sort of traditional quote unquote growth and marketing background in various tech companies. And sort of 2 years ago, I got really excited by this this NFT game, this fantasy football game called Sorare that maybe people know about. It's basically digital trading cards plus fantasy sports kind of combined on the blockchain. So I started using Sorare quite extensively and getting really into it. It's very much hits a lot of buttons for me. And I noticed on my cards that there was an Etherscan address for every one of them. And I'd been aware, working in Web2 kind of startup space, kind of been adjacent to sort of crypto for a while, and kind of viewed it almost as I guess a subset of fintech or something like that. I was aware of Ethereum and not smart enough to get involved early enough, but I was aware of Ethereum and what was going on. And pretty much for me, I have a really good friend that works at Ledger in Paris. And when we started talking about Sorare, he started to, we started getting more and more and more into crypto DeFi more broadly. And from there, I started because you need obviously Ethereum to buy cards on Sorare. I started building out a small portfolio. And then from there, yeah, I needed a place to manage it. And I found Zerion as a user. And after a few sort of buggy emails to our CEO, Yevgeny, they were looking for a head of marketing. And I was like, hey, I don't have any experience in Web3, but I love your product. I'm a heavy user at this point, very convinced, sort of fell down the rabbit hole, so to speak, as the cliche goes. Can you give me a try? And that was about a year ago. So I've been at Zerion for almost exactly a year now. And so I guess in crypto land, that makes me I don't know, 7 years in crypto, like a dog, or dog years or something. So yeah, I've almost survived my first full year in Web3 and crypto. And so yeah, I'm loving it. I think there's a huge amount of, I mean, you mentioned it, but there's a huge amount of like rethinking from a marketing and growth perspective that has to go into somebody making that transition from Web 2 to Web 3, because many of the channels that are like staples are just closed to you. And so like that's been just a really fun experience to like rethink a lot of the sort of traditional playbooks that that I spent a good part of a decade working on prior to joining Zerion.
Yeah, I think one of the challenges for you is Zerion covers so much of DeFi, and let's just call it like Web3. I remember, I think it was end of summer 2019. I had only been using like Compound and a few other applications that existed, but I remember discovering Zerion and being like, oh, cool! Like now I can track my wallet, because I just had no idea where my money was without keeping every tab open on my computer. And obviously, like you guys have just grown so much since then. So one of the things I want to cover today is this pivot recently to evolving from more of like a home-based dashboard that you can do all sorts of things in DeFi with, and again track your portfolio, to actually being the wallet that you use. So maybe you could talk us through some of the thinking there, and whenever you're ready to, we could start to sort of screen share what that wallet actually looks like, and how it differentiates from the original Zerion mobile app.
Yeah, so I think that like for us, like this has very much been like an evolution to us becoming a non-custodial wallet, which is what we announced last week, actually almost exactly a week ago. We launched our non-custodial wallet, and like what the popular perception, I think, still about Zerion is that we are a DeFi dashboard, a DeFi portfolio tracker, and we started a transition probably about a year ago, maybe even a little bit longer than that, which is like we wanted to add much more functionality than the sort of three staples of our portfolio tracker that people really liked. First, the chart, very interactive, evolving, moving, real-time chart to show their both price performance for different assets, but also their people's portfolios. So that was the initial product, that was the initial thing. Right after that, we added, when the company started, we added a really, really great detailed transaction history that people still talk about as one of their favorite features with Zerion. And very related to that, particularly on the mobile side, is the sort of like near real-time push notifications that we send when a swap has been executed, whatever you've done has happened. And I think that that's still, again, much like our history, it was something that people still really love about us. And it's something that like we see time and time again is like in this space, like peace of mind, trust, et cetera, are like things that are sort of like really few and far between. And so like people have really loved that about us for a long time. And those features formed the core of like what Zerion was until about a year ago, as I said. At that point, we started to add pretty extensive trading functionality, swap functionality within Zerion that basically has a sort of pretty sophisticated trading aggregation system that when a user goes to execute a trade on Zerion, we scan the top 8 dexes out there to basically give you the cheapest trade across every dex, or the main dexes that you would use to execute a trade overall. This piece of functionality is a little less known about us, and I think it's something that we, it sort of signaled, I guess, gave away our hand a bit, that we were transitioning more away from this just like portfolio tracking functionality and into more of a wallet. And this is, again, happening like a year ago.
By the way, as we talk through this, I'm just realizing too, in case someone hasn't seen Zerion, do you want to share just the dashboard as we talk through this?
Yeah, sure.
Again, we're going to cover obviously some of these like new and interesting products, but like you can't get away from the basics of.
Yeah, sure.
This is the home base.
So this is the home base. And basically, like what we're looking at here, obviously this is a pretty grim portfolio performance chart here. But
looks
you can see
to me. In this market, it looks good.
Yeah,
you're doing great.
There's some ups here, but basically you see the sort of interactive chart that is the first piece of functionality I talked about. See the sort of interactive transaction history, which again is something that I think is really important, and it also is a piece of the notifications on the on the mobile side, you receive push notifications for all these actions and the trades that you've made. So this is sort of like the main Zerion, I guess, like selling point. If I go back to the overview here, you can see all of your different assets. You can group them by position and by platform. You can see that we're multi-chain. So right now we support 10 networks, Ethereum and 9 others. And so you can group them by different which networks you want to look at. And so you have a large amount of control, I think, over like sort of what you see and how you see your portfolio performance. We also have two, like I say, I was mentioning the trading aggregation. So like, obviously you can trade across all these different chains, which is pretty exciting from a multi-chain perspective. I was just on with Phantom. I don't have any Phantom assets, so it's hard for me to demo this. But basically, if I want to execute a trade, let's just go with main Ethereum. If I want to swap, say, like, what do I got here? Let's just do something random, like Decentraland. So I want to do like 10 Decentraland for DAI. Maybe that's even too cheap, but basically this will give me an offered buy rate. So I can select different ones, but this swap was basically the cheapest one that we could find was Uniswap. And it'll give you an estimation of the network fee. And if I go to approve that, I'll actually go and do the trade. But the other thing is that you can select which DEX you use. So if you get rewards for a specific one, you can also still do that. But that trading aggregation piece is pretty unique and something that's interesting. And also, as I say, it's kind of signaled that we were moving towards this more wallet style functionality quite like a pretty decent amount of time ago. Like I think we added this about a year ago.
Yeah, I think like when you look at all that you have offered, the most obvious missing piece here has been like a wallet. So like that, it makes a lot of sense to me because I mean I can definitely speak to, I think a challenge for me working in like community and marketing at Zapper was that I was always thinking about how to onboard new folks to the DeFi space the way that you are with Zerion, except there's a choke point there, which is the wallet. You're not in control of the wallet, and that is a very frustrating thing because at the end of the day you're like, oh, so you can do all this, like it's amazing, but by the way you need to go like set up, let's say, MetaMask or Argent, or actually credit to Argent too. Argent is, I think, a really easy wallet to set up as well.
Yeah,
so
agreed.
Maybe this is then a good time to pivot to like, I don't know if one of the tabs there, if you have some like sort of screenshots we could talk through with that wallet. But yeah, like what is unique about this wallet, and I guess like what are the benefits of being able to have like a non-custodial wallet now in Zerion?
Sure. I actually don't have a screenshot of the wallet itself. Now that I'm thinking about it,
that's okay.
But the actually, I can do it really quickly to go.
Yeah, don't worry.
But so basically, like the non-custodial wallet, the first thing to understand is that right now it's mobile first. So it's available on iOS and Android. I guess it also is available through our macOS desktop app, but there's not a web version of it at the moment, although we're planning on some interesting web pieces coming soon, although I don't have full details on those to share yet. But basically the wallet itself for us, I think there's 3 elements to it. Beyond the mobile nature. The first is that we wanted the same level of like portfolio management to be combined with like wallet management itself, and almost create this like super wallet or super wallet app for our users. And specifically what I mean by that is with Zerion Wallet, you can create your own non-custodial wallet and start from scratch, or you can import your existing wallet with, like, say, MetaMask or Coinbase Wallet or Phantom Wallet on Solana, and you basically can sort of create like a nested kind of view of your entire portfolio. One of the big problems, I think you probably feel this just as much as anybody in the space, is like when you've got like a portfolio that's relatively complex, you have some kind of like, I don't know, wallet structure that's like usually pretty tricky to navigate. And there's not a really easy way for users to like see all of their portfolio in one kind of view. And so what we've done with Zerion Wallet is make it possible for users to create these like wallet groups where like your portfolio will be listed, your entire portfolio. And like all of the wallets sort of, as I say, nested underneath will like contribute up to the sort of overall portfolio view, I guess is the best way to put it. That means you can obviously like look at an individual wallet if you want to manage a specific one, but you can also get this like overall portfolio view that kind of combines the sort of like the wallet management piece as well as the portfolio management piece that we've been known for. So that's like the first element. The second element is we really wanted to create an experience that, particularly on mobile, users could have basically a multi-chain experience that allowed them to like explore all of Web3 in one place. And so obviously users can have the same multi-chain trading experience that they in our mobile wallet that they can on the web app. But we wanted people to be able to like basically go anywhere within Web3, like all in one place. And that includes like NFTs, it includes like, you know, the obviously all the different DeFi protocols. Like right now we support 10 chains, thousands of protocols. So, you know, we have this like all in oneness, this completeness. And the fact that that's available like on your phone, you can sign transactions in app, which is always a pretty tricky, hairy kind of experience. I think most people in the space would say that it's something they don't like to do very often because it's a little untrustworthy, a little unclear of what's happening. So we really tried to make this experience with our wallet, you know, something that's easy to use and trustworthy. And the last element of the wallet is something that we can talk about a lot with the DNA, but that's the social functionality that we're adding and have added, specifically around the DNA itself. The ability to watch wallets, which is always something that has been in Zerion, but we are transitioning to a situation where people can follow different wallets or follow NFT collections, and all the implications that means from creating almost like a sort of trusted community, I guess, or like a community. You're building your own community within your wallet. But I think that the key piece to show off in terms of the social functionality right now is the DNA NFT. Just really quickly, TLDR about the DNA. When users create or import their wallets to Zerion Wallet, create their Zerion Wallet or import their existing wallet to Zerion Wallet, they have the option to mint an NFT that we call Zerion DNA, which is a living NFT that basically evolves as users perform different actions, hold the NFT in their specific wallet, and spend money on things like gas, or obviously add the number of add tokens to their portfolio. Basically, as people explore Web3, the NFT actually changes and evolves over time. And so this is,
which is, by the way, it's very cool. We actually should show that here on screen.
Yeah. So,
but one thing to cap off on the wallet itself. So
sure.
I have the Zerion mobile app. I just literally took a screenshot of. I created, you know, a new wallet address. Normally, I would have like pasted in an address or scanned it, and this used to be a way for me to just track wallet addresses. Right. It was purely for tracking. Now I actually have created a wallet address that is controlled by my Zerion mobile app, and then I'm able to ultimately, you can see here in the screenshot, just, you know, it's multi-chain like you pointed out. I can nest this within my other wallets to kind of show a full portfolio view. But let's go back to, do you want to show that you had a guide there to Zerion DNA? Because this, one of the interesting things here is once you set up a wallet, now you can essentially start to, you know, evolve this avatar after you claim your Zerion DNA. So whenever you're on that tab, I'll share your screen again here. There we go. Cool.
Obviously, a prerequisite to the DNA is you have to create your Zerion wallet. So just a couple of screenshots here about how to go and create your wallet. It's, again, the prompts are within the app itself. So please go download the iOS or Android app. But basically, we have this nice little, you know, chat sort of guide to walk you through it. It'll tell you how to back up your seed phrase, so like you don't have to like think about it too much. We have a nice little guide to try to help people protect themselves. But once you've created your wallet, you're basically going to have to, because although the NFT is free, you either have to transfer ETH into this wallet or buy some new ETH because you have to pay for the gas. We've partnered in the Zerion app with three main on-ramp solutions: MoonPay, Ramp, and Mercurio. So it makes it really easy and intuitive, as you can see here, to actually go and top up your wallet if you need to. But basically, then there's going to be a claim DNA button that you see here at the top of the NFTs tab. But once you click that mint NFT, once you have assets to pay for the gas, if you've imported your wallet, you'll obviously have well, you probably will have that covered. But if you need to, you can, as I say, on ramp directly in the Zerion app. But basically, then you'll just be able to mint. So there's a little guide here, and the transaction will execute, and that's it.
Alex, so step one, yeah, I just need a refresher here. I have to actually create a new wallet address,
Yes.
which is through like the Zerion mobile app. But
Yes.
once I do that, obviously you're going to need Ether,
Yes.
in this case, to mint the Zerion DNA. So
Yes.
really, that's it. Just the prerequisite is create a wallet address with
Yep.
the Zerion mobile app, then add some Ether because you're going to need it regardless, and then you can actually mint it. Once you
Yep.
mint it, I know also too, like you can have multiple DNAs, right? Like,
Yes.
and so you could set one of them as like you're not feeding multiple DNAs at once too. You do have to choose which one is active.
It's something I wanted to talk about a little later on here. Basically, like although the DNA will evolve, first of all, you need to set one DNA NFT as active, and that basically sort of indicates that that this is the DNA that you want to evolve with you. Now, if you only have one DNA, it's going to be active by default if it's in the wallet that created it, if that makes sense. So like if you just go and immediately create your Zerion wallet and mint your DNA and you only have one, then that will be the one that's active. And so if you have multiple, there's a little set active button within the app here that you just have to set that. And once that's active, then that NFT will be the one that evolves if you do have multiple DNAs. But basically, actually, just really quickly, this is what sort of a newly minted DNA might look like. So it's actually a good excuse to talk about the attributes that we use to generate this NFT. First of all, the primary, as you can see here, this means that the NFT is active. So if you could see this yes, it means that this is in fact my active NFT. We basically have 6 attributes. The first one is the age, which in this case it was just minted, so it's 0 weeks old. That means that the body is black here. As the longer you hold the NFT in the wallet that minted it, the sort of body will become more and more transparent. So you can tell how long somebody's had a specific NFT by the sort of clarity that you see in the overall body. Then we use gas spend, and we use gas spend, transactions, balance, and the total number of assets, along with the different networks that a user has to generate the rest of the features on the NFT. So every bit from the background to the headdress, so the headwear, to the clothes themselves, like all of this is generated by the other attributes that you see here. So actually, we have a nice walkthrough, kind of, I guess, for each of the individual attributes. The colors that you see are very closely, or well, they're determined by the highest number of assets on a particular network that a wallet has. So, you know, if it's a Phantom network, it's going to look like that. If it's Avalanche, it's going to look something along these lines. Polygon, etc. So it's sort of like the colors that you see are very dependent on the network that an individual wallet has the most assets in. The headwear is basically linked to the number of transactions themselves. So effectively, the more elaborate the headwear, the more transactions that a wallet has completed. The clothing is linked to the value of the user's portfolio, like the assets in the portfolio. So again, the more elaborate, the more assets that a user has in their wallet. The body, as I mentioned, is linked. The clarity level is linked to the amount of time that it's been held. So, you know, as you see, like it starts out as like totally like a solid structure, and initially evolves to be a pretty translucent, transparent structure. And then the filling is linked to the number of tokens. So the more, again, the more elaborate, the more complex the sort of inside of the body, the more tokens the wallet has. And then finally, the background is linked specifically to the gas spend. So if it's a really crazy looking background, the person has spent a lot on their transactions versus some more
just like
simplistic background.
So much detail. How long did it take to plan all of this out and build it?
So we've been working on this for a good part of 4 or 5 months. I can't remember when the initial specs started getting drawn out. It was definitely like towards the end of last year when we really started planning this. Effectively, we got really inspired by the sort of other generative NFT projects. For us, that was like, oops, sorry, I switched back.
Oh no, you're okay. That's okay. Now I'll just remove that there.
We got really inspired by OG Crystals, I think, is probably the most well-known of the generative NFT projects out there. Generative NFTs aren't new. What is new in the case of the Zerion DNA is this NFT evolves as you do things within like on-chain and across multiple chains. And that is, I think, the first time that a generative NFT has been linked to like sort of your footprint. It's like a visual representation of a user or a wallet's like footprint on chain, which is pretty exciting.
I've not seen anything like it. It's very interesting. I think before we got on, actually, I wrote up a guide about this, kind of using your guide there not too long ago, and I was like, it seems like there's like some magic under the hood there to make that possible, because normally with generative art, we've seen a lot of copy paste over and over again, where there's a set number of traits, and then based on when you mint it on the blockchain, you get some new concoction of those traits. And here, I think it's just cool that it continually evolves. And I think for better or worse, I'm a little bit nervous you might inspire like a whole new trend of these like PFP projects where they're actually changing and evolving. But this is about actually, I think, creating a more interesting experience as they use the Zerion wallet. This is specific to the Zerion generated wallet addresses too, right? Like I couldn't.
So no, sorry. If you import with your private key or seed phrase, basically what will happen, as opposed to starting from zero as sort of it actually is like linked back to like, but it's almost like it's not like going to give you like a historical view. It's like a snapshot of like, okay, at this moment I imported and this is what my wallet looks like. So like DeFi Dad.eth has a lot of activity. If I were to import the private key into import the wallet address basically into the Zerion mobile app, it'll start tracking it, but it's not like it'll like retroactively reward me. Cool. So like your age will still be 0, and like your gas spend will be like whatever it is at that moment.
I think that makes sense, because otherwise you'd have some people who would just, well, it might be something to consider in the future. I like starting fresh now, because this is, again, I got to speak with you more as like someone who can empathize with, I think, the pain of trying to like market in Web3. It's very difficult. And so like you need users to be incentivized to want to try new things with that wallet. But there could be definitely another generation of this where it just sort of represents all of your past wallet activity, and maybe there's some added incentive to start using, or like in my case, I've got wallet addresses that are very active, but I would need to import them and start fresh. So very cool. It's really, really creative. I'm kind of really
we appreciate it. Thanks. We've had good feedback from it. I think that like a lot of the people who have used it early have been excited by it. I think it's generated a lot of interest on from people who like see this as like an interesting take on NFT projects in general. Because I think that like what we really wanted to try to do, although admittedly like right now, the main like choice or like the main like statement about your beliefs and communities that you support is the the network factor. We want to continue to try to add attributes that allow this NFT to really be reflective of like genuinely of like users online, on-chain identities. I don't think that we're necessarily there yet. We've started with like the basic set of attributes, but I think that once we continue to change and improve this over time, the idea is that it becomes like an actual representation of a user's on-chain identity and something that people like to show off and clearly demonstrate as like a statement about themselves and what they believe in, what kind of projects they support, what kind of things they like, communities they believe in, that kind of thing. So it's definitely not an endpoint for us. Like we are going to continue to try to add new things to it, and obviously, like it's clearly acted as an interesting acquisition tool for us from a wallet perspective because people have been really excited by it, and so they've been incentivized to think through like, okay, how can I go and like do things in my Zerion wallet that allow my NFT, or create a situation where my DNA NFT evolves. So it's been a really fun one for us.
Yeah, well, you guys definitely are a part of a special crew that I think continually proves that Web3 does know how to market. Like the website's really pretty, the app's really pretty, and I just think these new avatars are really fun to look at. I think I missed that earlier, that the colors actually reflect the network that you're on.
Yeah. So it's like network balance. So like it'll be the networks that you have the highest balance in. So if you're like really heavy into Binance, it's going to be yellow. If you're really into optimism, if you've got a big airdrop recently and we're able to claim it, congratulations first of all. But it's going to be red. That your portfolio will sort of reflect that in your DNA. And so like that's kind of like I say, the idea is that we want to tease out eventually is like these NFTs are actually a reflection of like the things that you believe in, not just like the money you've spent. Like ultimately where we want to take it is like, these are like, I mean, Vitalik's been talking a lot about, soul-bound, kind of attributes and traits and things like that. I don't have any alpha about what that could look like in the Zerion NFT or DNA NFT in the future, but it is something that we're thinking about is like, how do we make these like really tied to like things that people believe in and like, aspects of themselves that are really like emotional choices versus like, I don't know, financial ones, like how much gas they've spent. So I think that's where we're trying to take it in the future.
Yeah. No, I definitely think, especially with the L2s that are highlighted here, like, you have Arbitrum and Optimism. And, in the future here, I'm assuming we'll have ZK Sync once 2.0 comes out. And then you've got Polygon, which is like a flourishing DeFi Web3 community. So yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. It's I can definitely see these being used as avatars, but I'm really curious to catch up in the future on like whether you've been able to like, see, because at the end of the day, all this activity is on chain. So you could really start to do some interesting analysis without, invading anyone's privacy and going into like, which users who generated wallet addresses through Zerion mobile wallet, which of them like, really caught the bug and like started to use more applications. So lots of interesting learnings to or lessons to come from this. Alex, anything else you think we should cover here? I think we just about hit on everything, but anything else that folks should know about Zerion DNA or the new non-custodial wallet?
So first, there's just two really quick things. First of all, like I'd said, you can import your wallets with your private keys or seed phrase. Just to double check and reiterate, make sure everybody's clear on that. Like we don't store any of that information. It's basically just to like sort of render your wallet within the Zerion interface, and it does it like we don't take and collect any of that information. It's not. In fact, we can't even cross-associate wallet addresses. We don't do that. So like from a privacy perspective, if anybody's worried about that or anybody's listening thinking about that, we don't do anything to like store or retain that kind of information. So
you wouldn't be able to like I think this is definitely a problem I've thought about. You wouldn't be able to like look in a database and say this wallet was imported with this wallet and start to connect all of that. That's information that people definitely don't want. The mobile app too, I want to make sure this is clarified. So, because there are lots of scammer links that get put out, people will misspell Zerion by one letter. So you really really need to be careful because it's Zerion .io. And you really got to make sure it's spelled correctly, that there isn't a zero where the O is. Scammers will like try to pull those sorts of tricks. With the mobile, it's just the mobile app though, where you could import with like a key. It is not the desktop. Like if I'm in Chrome, I should never be trying to import. Cool.
Don't do that.
So just
be like, we take an approach to security where like we try to be overly communicative, and if it's us doing it, you're going to see a lot of like language that talks through what's happening. If you see like things that seem kind of fishy, just like is like a policy beyond like Zerion or anything, like if I see something that feels fishy, it probably is fishy. And there's nothing fishy about what we in our mobile app. The import function, we've had many people do it over the last couple of days, and it's something that I think we're really proud of, is that like it's totally still with under your control. We do not store, associate, take anything. So it's an import only, not a storage or giving up a situation where you give us control of anything. There's no control exchange. And actually that's just the last thing I wanted to hit on related to the DNA NFT specifically, which is like, I think that a lot of what we wanted to try to give people was sort of hint at this very common theme and trope, like within the sort of Web3 space, which is about ownership and the change of ownership and the change of data, right? Like who owns your data? This is a very overt way for us to basically give people the chance to like stake really publicly, like this is me on chain, you know, like this is who I am. These are the things I've done. These are the networks I support. These are the assets I own. You know, like you can put that out there on the surface in a way that's totally under your control and something that like reflects who you are, you know, in a digital context. And that idea of like, you know, your digital footprint being utterly under your control is something that's really important to us. First of all, it's definitely a goal behind what we wanted to do with the DNA NFT specifically. But I think also it just speaks to like, you know, the type of people and the type of community we're trying to build at Zerion. So like, it's a lot about ownership. It's a lot about making sure everything is under the control of the user, and putting that out there in a public way to like say like, this is who I am, you know, kind of thing. So again, it's ultimately moving towards, I think, an area where like, you know, your digital identity is like something you can actually show off, which is, I think, a really exciting concept.
It's a really cool vision. Like I've definitely been most interested in just like, I think there's an entertainment to like getting that DNA started and watching it evolve. But I definitely could see it evolving into like a form of identification, or even like retroactive airdrops have gotten really clever lately. And so they have used like different pinpoints on chain, or different signals on chain. Like let's pretend someone is on a multi-sig. The Optimism airdrop actually rewarded those who were on multi-sigs. So I think a Zerion DNA would be very interesting for those who do launch tokens in the future to look and say, hey, like here's a great sort of score, you know, of like who's like a pro user, who's a more active user on chain.
I will say like I don't have any specifics, but because we're still figuring it out. But you're barking up the right tree with some of this stuff. You're really like in line with what we're sort of what we've got cooking up in the lab, so to speak. I think it's the right area we're trying to take.
That's cool. I think I can read between the lines there. But for others that launch a token in the future, this looks really interesting to me. Optimism, it kind of just blew my mind with the fact they looked at who was on multi-sigs. They looked at who donated to Gitcoin grants. These are definitely markers of like long-term dedicated players to the space, and who you might want to be, you know, luring into your DAO or your community. But Alex, thanks so much for your time. This was awesome. Obviously, you guys know I have the utmost respect for just like the long-term building mindset you've had. You know, going back to Yevgeny and the rest of the team. I mean, I think he started building Zerion back in like 2017 or like 2018. So
we're OGs. Not me, as I said at the beginning, but the team is definitely OG.
I was like, whoa, dude, I like forget, like they were like building the co-founders were building before DeFi was DeFi. Well, I want to remind everyone too, they should follow Zerion on Twitter. You can go to Zerion.io, obviously, to get started and check out all the products we showed off here today, including the DeFi dashboard. And then, you know, you can follow Alex there as well. Hopefully we'll be able to do this in the future. And then most importantly, you can get started at Zerion.io/DNA. And if you enjoyed this, subscribe at DeFiDad.com. If you're a builder like the savages at Zerion, please reach out to me and my team at Fourth Revolution Capital. We'd love to partner with you. And otherwise, Alex, anything else you want to say before we go?
Just thanks so much. I really enjoyed it. And yeah, if anybody wants to hear more about DNA, send me a message. We'll chat. DMs are open.
Absolutely. Well, yeah. Hey, thanks so much. And hope everyone has a great day. Thanks for joining. We'll see you next time.